Good morning. I'm Mike Wilkins, the pastor of the Manly Memorial Baptist Church in Lexington, Virginia. As you know, last Sunday was Easter, and Christians all around the world joyfully celebrated the good news, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. For many of us, Easter provided a much-needed lift to our spirits. But then Monday arrived, and all the bad news began to reassert itself. The pandemic continued to claim more lives and infect more people. Our concerns over how long we can keep up this balancing act of social distancing, working from home, and homeschooling our children resumed. The more time we spent on social media, the more disturbed we became. The fear of what if returned. What if things get worse? What if I or my loved ones catch the virus? What if life never returns to how it was? Others have continued their grieving the loss of health, loved ones, home, job, financial security, hope, dreams, and opportunities. Most of us are experiencing the collective grief of losing our freedom to go to work, to church, to school, to a park, a theater, a museum, a sporting event, a restaurant, or to just get together with our friends and extended family. Despite our best efforts, this current way of life with disease and death constantly in the news and living separated but sheltered lives in our home is taking a toll on us. Easter was wonderful, but it already feels like it was so long ago. This morning, I'm going to talk about how we can hold on to the hope that Easter provides, even in such challenging times. But first, let's watch as Lucy Wilkins, accompanied by Christine Schatterberg, sings Free Grace. Bible records what Peter and the other disciples did in response to the amazing events they witnessed on that first Easter. I'll be reading from the book of John, one of the Bible's 4 biographies of Jesus. Simon Peter and several of the other disciples were together. "I'm going out to fish," Simon Peter told them, and they said, "We'll go with you." So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. William Willimon, in a sermon on this passage, says that Peter's response to the astounding truth of Easter is to say, "Well, that was nice. I'm going fishing. Anybody want to go with me?" As far as the disciples are concerned, Easter is over. And much as we have, they've gone back to the routine and demands of normal life. But while they were fishing, Jesus comes and meets them where they are. He invites them to have breakfast with him at a fire on the beach. And it's then that Jesus asks Peter a provocative question. Now let's look at the rest of the story. When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Again, Jesus said, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." The third time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And then Jesus said to him, "Follow me." As you remember, Peter had recently denied even knowing Jesus 3 separate times, and now Jesus asks Peter 3 times if he loves him. I believe Jesus wants Peter to know that because of his grace, that not even Peter's multiple failures and faithlessness can disqualify him from following Jesus. Watch this video from Skit Guys that reimagines this meeting between Jesus and Peter.
Grace is God's unmerited favor for us, His crazy love. And the truth is, many times we struggle understanding it. If you find yourself struggling to understand God's grace, don't beat yourself up. Even the disciples struggled with understanding grace.
Jesus, is that you? You're alive. I can't believe you're alive. Okay, I was in the boat and I wasn't catching any fish, okay? But I heard this voice and the voice said, "Cast your net to the other side." And so I'm thinking, I'm a fisherman, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not catching any fish, you know? And so I throw that net over there and then a gaggle of fish pop into that net and I'm going, this is a total miracle. Who could have done that? I need to know who told me to throw the net to the other side. And boom, I look up and I mean, there is you. You're looking at me on the seashore going, "It is I, the Lord, and you're alive. I can't believe you're alive. This is awesome. Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on."
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I love you. You're alive. This is so great.
Good, then feed my sheep.
Andrew, get out of the boat. Come on, man. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
I love you, yes. And I'm so sorry about that rooster clucking. I had no idea what that meant, but I do now. I'm better for it, all right? Okay?
Then feed my sheep.
Andrew, I'm smiling, but I'm serious. Come on, get out of the boat. It's him.
Peter.
Yeah.
Do you love me?
Jesus, mere words cannot describe the passion that I have for you. I love you. You know everything. I love you.
Good. Good. Then feed my sheep.
I didn't even know you had livestock. That is so like you, though. There's something new about you all the time. That's what I love about you.
Peter,
Yeah.
do you remember the morning the ladies went to the tomb?
Yeah. We're all in the upper room trying to figure out what to do next, you know, because we thought you were dead. You know, you were dead, you know, and we're trying to figure all that out, you know. And Mary comes running up, and Mary's like saying, "Beehive, beehive, beehive." And I'm thinking, I'm allergic to bees. Like, keep them out, you know what I'm saying? But as she kept getting closer, I heard her correctly. She was saying, "He's alive, he's alive, he's alive." And we're going, "Who's alive, who's alive?" And she said she was at the tomb, and the tomb was empty, and she said that there was an angel there, and the angel said, go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay, he is risen. And so me and John, we hightailed it down there, and if John says he beat me, he's totally lying, all right? I beat him, FYI, all right, you know? And we get down there, and I'm looking in that tomb, and it is empty. There's nothing in there, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And John is right there. John is so good with words. He should write a book. He is so good with words. And John said, don't you get it, Peter? This is everything Jesus said he was going to do, and you did it, and it's done. Let's go. This is so great.
Wait, the angel said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter that everything is okay. He is risen. You've risen. Let's go.
He said what?
Go tell the disciples and Peter. Go tell the disciples and Peter. You said my name. Why did you say my name?
Peter, that's grace.
No, I don't deserve that, because that night people kept coming up to me asking me if I belonged to you, if I was with you, and I kept denying you left and right, all right? No, it'll take me my whole life to make up for what I did. It was unforgivable for what I did.
No. What I did on the cross was meant to take what is unforgivable and make it forgivable. That's my grace. It's not about you. It's always about me. That's grace, Peter.
Here are some of the lessons that I see in this story. First, just as Jesus met the disciples as they were fishing, Jesus can meet you as you go about your everyday life. You don't have to be in a church building for Jesus to show up. The disciples didn't expect to meet Jesus that day on the seashore, and we often don't expect to meet him as we go through our day-to-day routine. But Jesus can come to you no matter where you are. He can meet you in your home, as you do your work, and as you run your errands. He can show up in a hospital room or an ICU. Easter means that Jesus is alive in our world, and that he can show up where and when he is least expected, but most needed. So be looking to see him every day. Another lesson I see in this story is that despite what we have done or failed to do, Jesus offers us the hope that we need to start over. Did you notice that Jesus never brings up Peter's failure directly? Instead, he asked him to reaffirm his love, then offers him his forgiveness, and gives him a new start. By our words, thoughts, attitudes, and deeds, by things we have done and by things we have failed to do, you and I have also given Jesus more than enough reasons to give up on us. But just as Jesus did for Peter, as we reaffirm our love for him, he offers us his forgiveness and a fresh start. If he can forgive Peter his denials, he can forgive you whatever you have done. Because he is alive, Jesus is still in the business of forgiving people and offering them second chances. And like he did for Peter, Jesus is inviting us to follow him. Even in the midst of this pandemic, Jesus encourages you to do God's good in this harsh and hurting world. Jarvis Williams writes, even during this inexplicable time of suffering, like we've never seen before, and when death seems to span the globe and lurk right next door, we live with the hope of the resurrection, and we practice a love ethic that compels us to love our neighbors well and wisely, and to seek the common good of all people, even when that means we must practice social distancing and stay at home. We dream up new ways to share the message of God's salvation with and show the love of Christ to our family and neighbors for whom Easter Sunday was just another day on the calendar. As the suffering around us grows, we pray for the gospel and God's kingdom to continue to advance. Easter Sunday is come and gone. What lies ahead is unknown, even to the best forecasters, statisticians, and scientists. But the truth of the resurrection has not changed, and our hope in Jesus is still certain because he is risen from the dead. Life is tough right now, and it's easy to be overwhelmed by all the bad news out there. But let's not forget that we have good news. Thanks to the resurrection, we can live today under grace, not gloom, with hope, not doom. Whatever it is that you are facing this morning, whatever pain, loss, or disappointment you may be dealing with, because of the resurrection, you can know that this is not the end of your story. Jesus can and will meet you where you are as surely as he met Peter. You can be hopeful as you face your future, not because things are suddenly better, but because Jesus is alive and is with you. And as he heals us with his grace and restores our hope, he invites us to follow him and to make a difference for God and for the good in someone else's life. Chuck Colson, in his book Loving God, told the story of a 91-year-old woman who was affectionately known as Grandma Howell. Between health and family concerns, she had begun to believe that she had nothing left to live for. One day, in fact, she told the Lord that if he didn't have anything more for her to do, she was ready to die. According to Grandma Howell, she heard God speak 3 words to her: write to prisoners. After arguing with the Lord about her lack of education and her age, she wrote her first letter. Dear inmate, I am a grandmother who loves and cares for you, who is in a place you had not planned to be. My love and sympathy goes out to you. I am willing to be a friend to you in correspondence. If you'd like to hear from me, write me. I will answer every letter you write. A Christian friend, Grandma Howell. That was the beginning of a ministry of encouragement. Over the next several months, this elderly woman exchanged letters with hundreds of incarcerated men and women, and it was all done from her little room in a senior living facility. One inmate wrote to her, Dear grandmother, your letters have meant the world to me. You have given me all the love and concern and care that I've missed for years, and my whole outlook on life has changed. You've made me realize that life is worth living, and that it's not all bad. I didn't think I was capable of feeling love for anyone ever again, but now I know I love you as my very own precious grandmother. Now, I'm not saying that God is calling you to write letters to those who are incarcerated. He may or he may not. But I am saying that he is inviting you to do something, to touch someone's life for God and for the good. So this week, reach out to someone with an act of kindness, a word of encouragement, an offer to help, or just a listening ear. Contact someone to see how they're doing. Let them know that you care about them. It may not be Easter on the calendar any longer, but because Jesus Christ is alive, it can still be Easter in our hearts. Thanks for watching today. Now may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. God bless you.